right now. So hi, everyone. So this is the Student Entrepreneur panel. So this is a typical session that I host in my Entrepreneurship and Innovation Practice and Mindset class. I host it every semester, usually in both sections. This semester, I'm only hosting it in my 3:30 section. And it's one of my favorite things to do every semester because I learn so much about our student entrepreneurs and just what they're doing and, you know, how they're applying what they've learned in the class to their businesses that they're already operating. And you just never know. You know, I just think it's just a real way to celebrate what many of our students are already doing and hopefully just giving you a chance to express that and inspire other students, right? And hopefully this will be the first or one of many speaking gigs like this for you in the future. So what we'll do is I'll just have Jason and Juan introduce yourself, introduce your business, what inspired you to start it, and exactly what do you sell, what do you do, and where's your business operated. And then you'll talk a little bit about your journey, and then towards the end, I'll ask some questions, and then I'll have students from the class ask questions as well. Does that sound good? Jason, are you here? Jason, are you here?
Yeah. Yes,
Oh,
I am here.
I think I had you muted accidentally. Okay, great. This is perfect. Oh, there you go. All right, awesome. So who'd like to start first? Anyone can start first. So your name, what's the name of your business? What do you sell? How did you get started?
Juan, would you like to go first?
Oh.
I think you have to unmute him.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So unmute.
Okay, now I can tell. Yeah. Sure. So do you want to know how I got started first?
Mm-hmm. What's your full name, the name of your business and everything?
Okay.
Where is it located?
I'm Juan Cadile. I have an agency, a web design agency primarily. We do more things than just web design, but that's how we got started. One night I found a video. It was like 3 hours long on YouTube. How to do an ultimate website on WordPress. And I used my dad's business, computer store, as the like something to make a website for. I stayed up all night, and by the end of the night, by the next day, I had a website, and I realized that I could sell that because it was nice. So that's how it started. Then I went to like a month after that, I went to a racetrack, and I went looking for the best cars, and telling them that I did like these services, like web designs and whatnot. And one of them said, I need you. And I started working with him, and I still do. And yeah, that's my story.
Okay, awesome. And I'm going to unmute Jason. And Jason, would you tell us a little bit about your story?
Okay, my name is Thien Nguyen, but no one actually calls me that because I go by Jason. Jason's actually not my legal name. So if you search me up, you might find me, you might not find me. My business is called Ariamnes. It's a design, event, and management business for people, for anyone that's interested in need of this service. I started a long time ago when I was really young. I love design and I love art. And since I guess 15, at the age of 15, I got hold of a camera, and then I just went crazy with the camera. And because it was the first time digital was a big thing, so everyone had these little tiny digital cameras, and I was taking hundreds of photos, not knowing what I was doing, and I was learning, and I was really interested in the art of photography. So I did photography as a teenager, and then slowly it became part of my life. I did photography mostly for me. And everywhere I went, I would take photos of the places and the seminars or the classes that I would go to. And people would ask me for my photos, and then they would use them for their magazines or for their publications or for advertising and whatnot. And when I was living in the south of France for about 10 years, an organization that I was studying with, I was studying mindfulness Buddhist philosophy with them, applied mindfulness philosophy. They really wanted me to help them out with their photography stuff. So I did a lot of photography with them. I traveled the world with them. I was introduced to what photography could actually do for an organization, for an industry. And it was really fascinating. And I had like free range of doing whatever I want. And I learned at that time, the Adobe programs were slowly becoming a big thing in society. And it was like the main medium for a lot of artists. So during my time studying photography, I was learning the whole Adobe suite. And I learned InDesign on my own. I learned Photoshop on my own. I learned Illustrator on my own. And I learned all these different programs through YouTube, which was also a new big thing where everything was being shown on YouTube. Yeah. So I learned everything on my own. And I started to do graphic stuff on top of my photography. And I started doing logos, just random logos for myself. And people saw and loved what loved what I did. So then they wanted to see if I could do something for them. So I started to do a lot of logo designs. So I did logo designs for a lot of organizations, nonprofits, restaurants, celebrities, bars, just random logos. And slowly I was able to incorporate my logos into their publications and their advertisement. And I slowly started doing print publications and graphic billboard publications and stuff like that for these different organizations and stuff like that. And when I left France, I moved, sorry for the screaming, I'm in Brooklyn. There's a lot of stuff happening here. After my time in France for a while, I came back to the States and I decided to settle in New York because I wanted to live here and it was the closest thing I could, or the closest place that I could live that is closest to Europe. So I chose New York and I met a lot of people. My friends introduced me to a lot of people and I did work in New York for a while. And I met this friend of mine and he had this event freelance gig. And I was doing graphic freelance. So we're both freelancers. And then somehow at one point we were collaborating and doing all these things together and he would have these parties. I would do the advertisement for them and I would take pictures for them. And he asked if I wanted to do a business with him. And I'm like, I'm more than happy to do a business. He had no idea what a business was. And I knew a little bit what a business was. I did accounting for a nonprofit organization for a period. So I kind of knew like what the structure kind of looks like for a nonprofit, not for like a. So I looked into it and we created this LLC called Ariamnes. And Ariamnes is a type of spider and it's a very unique spider and it weaves very intricate webs that are very sturdy and very strong, but very beautiful. So the whole concept of the business is we will create very unique events and designs to cater to your needs. But at the same time, it should be something that also reflects what the mass wants and what will bring the most joy to the majority. So we're selective also in who we work with and what we do, because we really want to create joy and happiness and fun in society instead of just doing whatever that. Yeah, it was very clear that we had a very particular group of people we want to work with and a lot of people we don't want to work with. And in New York, like a lot of places, it's all word of mouth. I feel I never really sat down or asked somebody if I could work for them. A lot of people would introduce me or my business partner or our business. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our clients came from our connections. And our biggest event that we do annually for the past 4 years as Ariamnes is this Halloween party in Midtown Manhattan. It's at this hotel called the Eventi Hotel. It's actually not in the hotel, it's in a space called Second Floor on 6th Ave. And it is, like I would say, one of the biggest Halloween parties after Heidi Klum. So Heidi Klum has her party and we have our party. But our party is more like a party where you don't just drink and like party. There's stuff to do. The space is so large that we redesigned the whole space to fit a certain theme. And in each theme, there's certain rooms that you can go into and dance or swing on a pole or climb on certain things to take pictures and really have a moment to like your friends. And each room or each section of the party has a different group of DJs that are DJing, from fashion DJs to nightlife DJs to all these. And there's a wide range of celebrities that come and party with us, I guess you can say, and they also bring their friends, and that's how we get connections. So one of our regulars will be, I don't know if you guys watch The Real Housewives of New York, but one of the Real Housewives of New York is one of our regulars who always come, and she's always wanting to do stuff. A lot of the drag queens in New York, Little Kim is a big party person that comes all the time. She comes every year to party. She'll bring in like Carmen Electra and all these other people that would come, and Paris Hilton and stuff like that. So I would do that annually, but this year we don't know if we're going to do it. So this is what I do. I do parties, I do events, I do design, I do brand design and everything like that under the business Ariamnes.
Yeah, I feel like once you do that, because I've done a little event planning, and that it's so exciting. It's actually exhilarating. And once you do it, you kind of just want to keep on doing it because you kind of want to out-top yourself almost.
Yes, it gets bigger and bigger every year.
You get like a boost of confidence and like, I could do this now, I could do that. Yeah, it sounds really exciting. That's amazing. You see, this is the kind of stories that like I would never know, like none of us would know when you're just sitting in the classroom, and that's why I love when you can share your story. Juan, so tell us a little bit more, because you talked about Salve. I don't know if you said the name of your business actually, and can you explain a little bit more what you do before we like move on? But I do want to point out one thing I noticed in both of your stories is that you saw areas in which you could build on your skills at the beginning of like a new era. Like you both saw that like web design and using different like virtual tools like YouTube and WordPress. You saw those opportunities and you turned them into business opportunities, essentially, where as many people would just turn them into just like a general blog where they share their ideas, or just probably actually not even like just literally share your ideas and then stop. But you guys just kept going on and turned it into something more. Yeah.
Totally. And I think something about the entrepreneurial mindset is doing that every day. Today I found out about a software that can help my business, that can help my client's business. I can make a lot more revenue just because I found out a new software, and I know that I can integrate it into what I'm already doing.
Yeah.
My business name is Salve. It's a digital agency that I started in Argentina. We work with different clients like Maserati, Argentina. That's the one that I always name because the rest you might not recognize because they're super local. But last
Yeah, are we good? Internet connection?
campaigns that went on TV and went for print, and it went on websites and social media, and that's our area. Mm-hmm. So this guy that I met on this racetrack, Claudio, he was my mentor in Argentina. He has a big, huge agency, TV agency. So they do these big campaigns with big clients. Nikon, that's another one that we all know. The cameras. And so the digital part, they always gave us that work. And that's how we started. We started making simple WordPress websites. Then we also did like email campaigns. Then we started doing influencer campaigns. When I met Juan Francisco, my business partner, he's the one that has like 3.8 million followers. And yeah.
3.8 million followers. Because he says it like it's just like nothing.
Yeah.
Just want to emphasize that.
Yeah. But and then we started doing more. Like Maserati came to us and said, we want to grow our Instagram. We know that this is a way to get seen and to establish our brand. And they're new in Argentina, so we started working. We got them past 10,000 followers, which in Argentina is like crazy. They wanted to beat Porsche Argentina, and so we did. Now we're working on verifying their account, but they also asked us to create content, and that's something that we've never done before, but I always wanted to do. And so we hired these guys, these photographers, these video makers, these editors, and whatnot, and we established a partnership with some cute places, and started shooting. And that's how we got into content creation. But it all happened as clients asked for that. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
But we learned, and they knew that I didn't know how to do it, but they knew that I could tackle it.
Yeah.
Not me and the team. And I always thought, and I still think, that building a team is the hardest part. I don't know why. But
probably because, you know, you come into this with almost like with a relentless sense of passion and focus, because this is your dream. And so finding people that share that and then also have the skills to back up the passion can be a challenge, right? I think a lot of people actually don't know what they're passionate about or don't know what their purpose is. And instead of trying to find out, they just kind of, just like, maybe it's going to come to me. And it's like, it's not really how it works. You got to actively try to find it, actively do a variety of different things and expose yourself to different kinds of things and people and activities. And then you learn from that oftentimes, if it hasn't come to you, you know, early on. So it can be really challenging to build a team. What about you, Jason? What do you think?
I do agree. Even a business partner is really difficult to find. I have to say, even when you start working with one that you're comfortable with, there's always challenges that you encounter, and you never know how either person is gonna receive it and react to it. And sometimes can be shocking, you know. And yes, building a team's hard. Having a business partner is also difficult, because when you're on your own freelance for a while, especially in a very specific field of work, you kind of know it like the back of your hand, and you have a very distinctive style of doing it or way of doing it. And then when you work with someone, you can't just do it however you want it. You have to collaborate. You have to learn to let go of certain crucial points in your style to merge with theirs so that it can work. Because if one person sticks to exactly what they want and how they are used to doing things, it's very hard to push the business forward. I mean, like when I started Ariamnes with my friend, we didn't actually form the LLC officially with the government right away because we didn't know how it's going to work for both of us. We worked for a year and a half before we actually formed it, because we didn't want to form it and then what if it didn't work, even though we're friends. But it's better that we test try and stuff before we like jumped into it. And it worked out great, and we did like went through a lot of hurdles, but it is challenging, especially in, I guess, in anywhere really.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. You said something about wanting to start a nonprofit and then you turned it into an LLC. Why did you go that route?
For me, a lot of the organization that I was working prior to coming to New York were nonprofits. So I'm very comfortable in the nonprofit sector, and I love doing that. However, when I came to New York, to have a business that is that's generating revenue through a nonprofit structure, I find there's only there are a lot of clients out there, but the clientele is much smaller in New York than just the for-profit, because a lot of people who are coming to me, at least for design work, are for-profit people. Mm-hmm. Like I only work with I think 2 organizations that are nonprofit, Doctors Without Borders and a sub-organization of theirs called Thien. But like it was very like a small gig because they didn't have a lot of funding. Or their funding was mostly reserved for R&D, which is research and development in medicine and stuff like that. And I found that out for a lot of nonprofits here, a lot of their funding are already geared towards specific work. So whatever they're doing extra in terms of design is a lot for them. Even if it's $100, it's a huge like amount for them, even though they're getting like $3 million in donations. But let's say $2.5 million are going straight to R&D. Whatever's left is for operations. So it's like at the end of it, if you have like, for instance, DNDI had 10 people based in New York working for them, but like that's it. Everyone did everything. And I would come in as a consultant to do a little design work, and they pay me $500, but it had to go through like a whole review board. It took a lot longer. And that's why I didn't go towards the nonprofit sector, because I didn't feel like it was right for me right now, especially when I'm just starting back in New York. Like if I had a solid foundation, I had a larger income revenue source, then I would focus a lot more on nonprofits to support and to help out certain initiatives. But at the moment, I don't think I can do that with my financial standing. So that's why I chose to go the for-profit route.
Yeah, that's a good reason. There are a lot of restrictions on, as you just said, on generating revenue through a nonprofit structure. There's literally a tax. You can actually be taxed if it doesn't even relate to your social mission. So there's a lot of restrictions, and I think people don't really realize that, and especially like in terms of even just utilizing the revenue that you do generate. There's a particular purpose for it, and particular purpose for donations and all that, and what you can actually use to give raises and just for operating funds. And literally, even if you just want to like refresh your space, like you need to have separate funds for that. It's really crazy. It's really restrictive. What was I going to say? Both of you have really prominent clients. How did you discover those customers? How did you get those initial customers? And then how did you get the customers that you have now? I mean, you're talking about working on 6th Avenue, and you're talking about working with Maserati. You know, that's huge. That's huge. So one of the hardest things for a new entrepreneur to do is to find that target audience, to find that target customer base. And not just to find them, but then to convince them to make a purchase. So how did you guys do that?
To me, it's all word of mouth. Yeah. There's nothing like personal connection. And when there's word of mouth carries trust. Mm-hmm. If I recommend you someone, it's because I trust in that. Yeah. So that's been the best way for me. Mm-hmm. But establishing 1 or 2 key contacts opened a lot of doors. So you don't need to know a lot of people. You just need to do great work for people. They're gonna they're gonna tell their friends.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice. Really, really good advice. And that's extremely important, because I think that when someone starts a new business, if they don't have 100 customers immediately, especially if it's an online business, and let's say they do an email blast and they pay for all this marketing, then they can be discouraged really, really fast. But like what you said, sometimes it's just starting with that one customer, doing a really great job, and then they'll tell people. That's what people do. It's like, oh my God, Juan created this amazing website for me, or people just see it and then ask. Yeah. How about you, Jason?
I find it the same also. Like Juan said, it really is through word of mouth. I was very fortunate to work with this nonprofit in France, who the organization is actually well known like around the world. So I was very fortunate, because I would go places with them and I would meet people, and they would see the things that this organization was giving out or publicizing, and they eventually came back to the source of the design work was through me, and it was all through word of mouth. But I think the biggest I guess element in all of this is that I'm very selective in who I work for and who I work with. And there's a huge difference between working for and working with. And I make that very clear with the people that come to me. And I think also that creates, you get known for who you are as a person when they come to you. And it's not like, oh, I'll just go to him and he'll just do work for me. Yeah. It's never like that. It's like, he's very picky. You have to know what you want, and you also have to make sure whatever you're asking him to do is going to actually bring joy, and it's not just going to generate a bunch of revenue for yourself. You know, it's actually going to do something for society, because he's very picky. Like I would tell my clients that, like, I can do your websites, I can do your design, but if it's not going to bring anything to the world, I'd rather not do it. You have a million like design firms out there that you can hire, you know, and I do it for a budget. So because I'm a student, and also like I do it for fun because I enjoy doing what I do. So if you come to me, it's more like I have to see what you're asking me to do. And if it's something that resonates with me, I'll do it. I'll accept it. If it doesn't, then I will introduce you to all the firms that I know, and you can definitely contact them and reach out to them. Yeah.
Can I add something to that? Something that I recently discovered that I should have been doing since day one is establishing my own terms. Establishing my own terms. And I think I never did that because I think it wasn't worth enough or valuable enough, or that I was too new. I don't know. That's not how it is. And people really value when you have your rules, or when you have how to be a good client, what to expect from this relationship, or a walkthrough, whatever. But if you establish how the relationship is going to be with clients, with partners, whatever we're doing, you set up a clear way of how you're going to communicate and how things are going to get done. And I think that's the best thing you can do, because when you have problems communicating, or when you haven't communicated early enough, then you start getting stressed because the relationship and things are not going as you expected, and then everything falls. So just being clear from the get-go is one of the best things you can do. You're good enough. Just say how you want things to get done, and I think people appreciate that.
Yeah. You know, I like that you said you're good enough, because I'm a firm believer that every single person in the world has a particular gift to offer the world. We all have things that are unique to our own personalities and our life experiences that are of value to all people, especially, and it could even be a target group of people. And if you don't understand that, then you'll be a bad entrepreneur, because you have to understand inside that, like, I am good enough. I'm worth what I'm creating, the things that I do, and my time is valuable. And that's just extremely, extremely important. And about what Jason said about like choosing who you work with, I think it's really important, because like all money isn't good money. And one thing that you cannot get back in life is time. You can't get it back. We can't go back to yesterday. And so if you are taking the time out of your life to work with people and maybe giving you a lot of money, but are really like running you through the mud, like their personality is just awful and they're just extremely demanding, and it's just causing you so much stress that the money just becomes like, it's not worth it anymore. And I think, especially with new entrepreneurs, that's essential to point out, because you could just be wanting to succeed so bad that you'll take money from anywhere. But being selective, I think, is really important. And as both of you said, when you outline, when you outline boundaries and expectations for people, they respect you more. You know, they do respect you more because of that, because they know what you'll take and what you won't. So my question, what is the biggest challenge that you faced so far?
The biggest challenge is, for me, is really finance. It's not a matter of like not generating enough revenue. It's a matter of how to report it and finding the right accountant to report the way that you want it to report. under whatever regulations that you need to report under.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through, let's say, 3 accountants, and I'm still searching for an accountant in the United States. Like I know accountants in Europe, which are great, but they don't know New York, or they don't know the state's regulations. They don't know GAAP. You know, I understand it a little bit.
Accountants.
Huh?
What has been the challenge working with the accountant? I actually, accountants can be very difficult to work with, because especially with an entrepreneur, which is it's funny because entrepreneurs have a particular vision and are very flexible and creative, and accountants often be very rigid and like, no, this is this and this.
Yeah.
And like entrepreneurs like, but no, but this is actually working for me, and you're telling me I can only do it this way. So that actually is a very common tug of war that we have to play.
Yeah, and that's what I find with accountants is that, like, I understand where they're coming from, because I do understand you have to know a little bit of accounting and the laws and regulations when you start a business of any kind, because it doesn't matter if you're forming an LLC or a C Corp or S Corp, whatever. You have to understand how statements are laid out and what regulations and how you can file certain things, just the basics. Because I find that when things aren't filed how I report them, it really frustrates me, because it's not what it was allocated for. At least that money wasn't allocated for that. Why was it filed under that, or why was it put under that statement, kind of thing. And I find like accountants are rigid because they really do things by the book. And which is exactly, I get it 100%, but there's many ways to do one thing. And many ways to report one thing. And I find that if you have to work with various accountants to understand what the style is, at least here in your area. You know, like New York is completely different world. Like even Manhattan is completely world than Brooklyn. Like Brooklyn's in accountants in Brooklyn operate in a different way than accountants that operate in like Midtown Manhattan and financial district Manhattan. So it's like you have to know how they are filing your finances, so that you, first of all, you don't lose the money, and also you don't underfile or get overtaxed. Stuff like that. It's just, I find that very difficult, because it is all up for interpretation, even though there is a rule book at the end of the day. So I think that's one of the big,
that it's all up for interpretation. And because a lot of people don't realize that, and I've had issues with accountants actually, where it's like, but it's this way, and it's like, but no, actually, it's not that one way. Nothing with humans is just one way. But for them, it is. But it's actually not the case in actuality. But like communicating that to them, it's a challenge. Yeah, it's a huge, and it's a common challenge that the entrepreneur and the person that manages the books, like that's why I always say, like, it's different. There's a difference between being even an entrepreneur and a business owner, because an entrepreneur is constantly evolving. Like there's a difference between running a business and adapting and innovating in a business, and constantly adapting to the world around you, and being creative, as opposed to simply running something that's already in operation. Like, you know, a huge difference. It's a very different mindset. And what you're talking about right there is actually a mindset thing that creates a lot of challenges. But the interesting thing is, the entrepreneurial mindset is the one that actually allows you to grow further, you know, and to create all that value. But you still do have to depend on the skills of the accountant as well. What about you, Juan? What's the biggest challenge?
Well, I already said that building a team is hard, but before that, what has been super hard is staying true to your vision through people's opinions, through failures, through not finding what you need, from being to the top, like completely stuck in debt. Like I've been scammed twice by business partners, so I know what being under debt pressure means. But yeah, you gotta hold on to your vision and keep going. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just when you have a vision, when you have something that you really want to do, just keep going.
Well, for every single person that is an entrepreneur or has an entrepreneurial idea is going to be met with some kind of criticism. And anyone that ever does anything great in life, truly great in life, will have pushback. And it just has to do with norms and the fact that, someone once said to me, extraordinary people won't necessarily be understood by the ordinary, because they're thinking very, very differently. And if you have a vision that's you're seeing into the future, and you're imagining what could be and not what is. And so whenever you're imagining what could be, there are people that are only can see what is. And so they're going to give you pushback on that. And they're going to say, no, you can't do that, or that's not going to work out. Like there's going to be a lot of flack, and every single entrepreneur is going to go through that. And sometimes that defines who becomes a successful entrepreneur and who doesn't. It's because some people let the feedback get to them. So how do you not let it get to you? How do you keep that vision?
Yes, totally. And you also, oh, sorry. You also have to,
sorry.
There's some feedback that is actually valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta listen to almost everything, but know what to really pay attention to. And that is hard, because sometimes the people that are closest to you are not giving you the kind of opinion that you really need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially when you're starting out.
Mm-hmm. But how do you keep the faith in yourself? If you think about it, I remember back in week 2 of our class, and I asked, what are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? I asked the whole class to write them down. When we talked about weaknesses, one of the things I said is that most of the time what people put as their weaknesses are something that was told to them by someone else.
Yeah.
So if they believe that they're stupid, or they believe that they're lazy, or they believe that they are not hardworking, a lot of times that's because that was told to them by someone else. And so how do you get the motivation to, well, first of all, who you are today does not define who you are tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So even if someone tells you, criticizes you about something, you can still change. As long as another day comes, you can make a decision to change. That is a choice of your own. So just remember that. But how do you stay focused on that? Because that's very, very difficult. It's very difficult when people who you love and trust don't believe in you, and and to just keep on going anyway.
Well, I don't want to sound cliche,
yeah.
But it is really down to passion. It's really down to what you really like, what you really love, and what you really believe in.
Yeah.
And yes, if you stick to what you love, you'll eventually do something with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Jason?
I find that's very true. A lot of the things that I've done that have gotten me to, or have gotten me connections, is the stuff that I do pro bono for the people or the organizations that I like. Like I would go up to an organization, I'm like, you might need a little help on your website. I'm more than happy to help you guys fix it up. Or I would go up to a small cafe and I was like, hey, do you guys need me to help you guys out with certain things? I'll just volunteer a lot of the work that I do because I love design. I will always love design. So whenever I find a place that is kind of under a little bit, or it looks like they're having a hard time, and I enjoy going to these places, I would always offer to do something because I'm already doing it at home for myself. I would go and I would go online and try to mimic certain designs and see how it's made or how I would make it to look exactly how it is, kind of thing, and stuff like that. So I find it is passion. If you love something that you're doing, it doesn't matter what people say, even though there is truth in some of it, but what you're doing is really your way of doing things. And I feel like your style, and that's what makes it so unique, because like I said before, there's 100 of other firms that are doing the same thing that you might be doing, but you have a particular style. And if you can stick to that style and you really fine tune it like any artist's work, it will become something really, really valuable and really beautiful. But it's really your style, because if someone's really looking for something that's very generic, you can literally any design firm or any firm that's doing that kind of service will cater to you, will cater to that. But you're doing something as an entrepreneur very unique. It's the same so-called service, but it's a different way of making that service possible.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So now I have another question. How, if so, has the pandemic affected your business at all? And what has been, how has the pandemic affected your business at all? It could be positively or negatively. Mm-hmm.
It first affected me.
It affected you?
Yes, it first affected me, and then it affected my business. So, of course, being locked down, you have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to do thinking, and when you think, you can think about priorities and what you value, what you don't value. And in that thinking, I realized that this was a great opportunity, and that I was only seeing the bad thing. I started getting calls from a lot of people that also realized, like almost in the same week, that it was a great opportunity to start doing more digital things.
Yeah.
So it's a positive impact. Now, the last 2 or 3 weeks, it was kind of rough, but it was a great process of thinking through how I was gonna do the team remotely, and how we were gonna do with, I don't know, some clients, dealing with stuff that I wasn't prepared to deal with. Has helped me again reshape my business model to this new, I don't want to say new era, but I guess it's gonna have some greater than now impacts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like the pandemic has affected me and my business a lot, because everything's on hold, because most of my business now is events. You can't do anything. You can't do any events right now. So I'm pretty much sitting. I'm not sitting, but I'm like at home, just doing things for my friends, but then also finding other ways to generate revenue for myself. I'm not just sitting here waiting for my business to kick back up again, but like really being active and continuing to do what I love to do, is interacting with people and seeing what they need and try to help them out. Like my friend is launching a book, and because I have no work, I reach out to her. I'm like, I'm more than happy to like help you launch your book and stuff like that, pro bono. I'm doing it for fun. So like, send me what you want. I'll put it together, and then back and forth, creating flyers for her, created a website for her, created a whole brand for her. So like, I'm still active in the way that I want in terms of design, and then doing other things to generate revenue for myself, but not through the business right now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So, do you consider yourself successful? Both of you. And if so, what has been critical to your success?
Yes, and it's a daily thing. Success is not, you don't achieve success. You do success. It's a way of doing things. It's a way of thinking. It's applying the entrepreneurial mindset. I didn't know that you people were teaching this.
Yeah.
But in Argentina, I applied what you think of entrepreneurial mindset for different things in life. In Argentina, we even call it atarlo con alambre. And it means that whatever
it's freezing.
daily drive, it's daily doing, and always keeping.
Hold on. Something's happening. It's like moving my cell phone to see if, I don't know if it's doing anything, but all right. I think we're good now. Yeah. So what
I'm sorry?
Juan, what is the last thing that you said?
And keeping this mindset, like not losing it. Because when times are tough, you can easily get into bad habits, and we're creatures of habit. I really know that. So keeping up with the mindset is the number one thing. If you have a good mindset, you're gonna start doing well again. That's what truly believe.
Yeah, awesome. Jason?
I find success in the fact that I'm still able to do what I love, which is design, regardless of if I'm generating revenue or not, or income or not. I find that success is when you can comfortably do what you love without having to worry about if it's generating revenue or not. Because I find that when you generate revenue or not doesn't really show how successful you are. I find like sometimes I generate a lot of income, but I'm not really doing what I love. I'm just sitting there directing, which is all right, but like it's not my passion, you know. Or sometimes I don't generate anything, but I'm doing so much of what I love and I'm comfortable in doing what I love, you know. And I find that in a lot of the places that are shut down now, or at least that are so-called adjusting to the pandemic, especially like the local cafes around Brooklyn here, like they're all startup cafes, but they're trying to figure a way to still be alive and still cater to their clientele by offering delivery service, or you know, creating new products that can go with their service or their whatever they're selling. And they're trying to stay alive, but they're happy doing it. They're doing it not because they need money or whatever. They're doing it because they want to let their clients know that they're still alive and they're still doing what they love, which is like really, really cool to see when you drive by these cafes and like there's people behind the cash register, like putting together coffees or cakes or whatever, but they're like really happy. You know, they're like, oh my God, I'm like just stressed out, like, you know, and stuff like that. Like there's something about when you're happy doing what you love, like whether it generates income or not, I feel like that's the greatest success, really.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. What is the thing that you're most proud of that you've done? And anyone, you can start asking questions in the chat, and then I'll ask Juan and Jason if you have any questions. Yeah, but what is the thing that you're most proud of, Juan and Jason?
I did my old self proud by getting here.
Mhm.
When I was maybe 7, 8 years old, do you know High School Musical? We all know that movie. Okay, that's the first time I ever saw the U.S. education, and I was blown away. So I said, okay, I'm going there. Then I started, like, I was already into tech, and I always wanted to work in Google because they have the open offices and you can do whatever you want. You do your own schedule. And I said, the US is the place for me. So yeah, Juan from the, I don't know, 10, 11-year-old Juan would be super proud of that.
That's
Just
awesome.
being here.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Jason?
I feel like the proudest is that I'm living on my own, and like I guess ever since I left my family to like just live on my own and do what I want and actually be self-sustaining, that's what I'm really proud of. Like at a young age, you know, like it's scary to leave your family. I left my family when I was 15 and I just took off and I just figured my way around. Like in the first few years, of course, my family helped me out a little bit, and then I just didn't feel right. You know, even though I was 15, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't have them like just support me all the time because I need to figure it out. And I remember in my head, like, if I can't figure it out and I have to be homeless and live on the street, I'm okay with that. As long as I don't, as long as I learn how to figure it out myself. And I'm happy to say I've never been homeless, and I'm living in New York, and I'm doing what I love to do is, you know, design, be with friends, go to school for fun. And so, and just yeah, being on my own.
Yes, when you go to school for fun. Yeah, and to elevate. Right, that's awesome. It's funny that you guys say that because both your answers resonate with exactly how I've been feeling this week. I remember just a couple of days ago, about 2 days ago, I was crying because how happy I am, like right now in my life, and just thinking about where I was growing up just 15 years ago, and just thinking about like where I am now, and I'm like, I'm just so happy. Like it's the middle of a global pandemic, but like I have so much to be grateful for, and just seeing that journey, it's just amazing. It's I just hope that all of you stay inspired, and in this time really focus on accomplishing your dreams and taking yourself to wherever it is that you want to go in life, because that's what I did, and like right now I'm so happy. Like my dreams have come true, and it's the best feeling in the world. It really is. There's nothing better than that, and you can't pay for that. It's just knowing that I was able to take care of myself. I was giving nothing in the world. Like, I was giving a lot of love, but no one's given me like anything. I had to like really bust my butt to go through college and graduate school and doctoral program. And like, I'm finally feeling like, oh my God, like I'm good. Like, I'm so good. I'm all right. I'm not doing too bad. But that's the best feeling in the world. Yeah. What are your plans for growth? And do you have plans for growth? Because not everyone does. Some people are like, I'm happy with what I'm doing now, and growth is actually stressful sometimes. And some people do want to grow. And what are your plans for that? I'm going to send a message to the audience. Any questions like me to ask? Yeah, but what are your plans for growth? And then I have 2 more questions for you.
You want to go, Jason?
My plan is to one day have a farm that's big enough somewhere not too far from the city that is self-sustaining, so I can adopt kids. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be like around kids. I wanted to teach kids. When I was living in France, I helped facilitated workshops for children on how to apply mindfulness practices into their lives. And I worked with 3-year-olds to 12-year-olds, and I did it for a good 5 years. And each group, most of the groups that I took care of on average had 30 kids, and it was so much fun, and I loved it so much. And ever since I was a kid, I wanted to share how to like be happy and live life kind of thing. And as an adult, you kind of sometimes forget how to be a kid. Mm-hmm. And then when you're with kids, like they teach you how to be just human. Yeah. And so I one day want to have a farm where I can just adopt like maybe 10 kids at a time from all over the world and teach them how to live and, take care of them. Not like an orphanage, but like to take care of them like a family. And then when they're 18, they can go to college or whatever, but they'll never lose their home in the farm. They'll always have that room. They'll always have a home. And then I'll adopt more kids. So that's my long-term growth, is that I one day want a place where I can take care of people, where that they will always feel like they have a home. Yeah.
I have to send you a link to this. There's this woman from the Bronx who went to Israel, and she started a shelter for battered women there. And she's from the Bronx. So she said she had a vision, and she just went there. And she started a shelter for women, and it's basically a huge mansion where she has like a cafe, a jewelry store where the women make jewelry. And it's like, if you've been abused, you go there and you live. And it's like, I'm like, this is a really nice place to live. Like, this is really nice. And she has people from the UN come and join her in her cafe. And I went as part of a class there. It was just like amazing, but that can happen for you. Like, she's just a girl from the Bronx and made her dream a reality one day. And it's amazing. You never know what you can do. Juan?
Okay, so plans for growth. I'm in a crossroads right now. I really, really want to continue doing with what I studied with Iona competition.
Uh-huh.
It is something really hard, but it's something that if it done properly, it can actually save lives.
Yeah.
And in the process, why not make me a millionaire or even billionaire? But yeah, I really want to have my agency. I don't want it to die. I want to have this place in the city with a lot of creative people just working, doing crazy freak stuff and creative works and animations and all of that. I still want that. But I realize that humanity needs to solve some issues, and I really want to focus on that now.
Okay. Social entrepreneurship and social innovation.
Yeah, it's more health related.
Health related. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I had some great questions coming in. So how did you find the first opportunity where you were like, this is the one? And then I have another question for you.
I didn't. I just accepted everything and ran with everything until something worked.
Yeah.
I tried a lot of things before.
Good opportunities at Maserati and how you drive around in a nice Maserati.
Yeah,
but that's pretty nice.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. But again, that was just taking me, just some opportunities come to you and you go to other opportunities. So I went to this racetrack and I started like speaking to people. Hey, I do this, I do this, I do this. One of them liked me, presented me to somebody, and eventually I got to Maserati.
Yeah.
So it's just one thing that I tried and it worked out. But I tried other things before. I went to networking events. I was in forums, like I was trying, hustling, as Gary Vee would say. And one worked and another one worked and it piles up. But I finished high school in 2016 and I've been doing this since 2015, maybe. So it's 3 years? It's not that much. And in Argentina, I'm a millionaire in pesos, of course. But, in so, and 3 years is just trying new things that people think it's not possible. And I'm not a genius. I find everything on YouTube. Yeah. I just know how to steal.
Well, you're just not being an information junkie and you actually apply the information that you are receiving.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Jason, and getting things done is a skill. The ability to get things done is an underrated skill. It's not just about starting something. It's about finishing it and seeing it through challenges and all that and not giving up. That is important. So Jason, how did you find that first opportunity where you were like, this is the one?
I kind of have to agree with Juan where I didn't really have like that moment where this is the one. I felt like it just kind of progressed through what I enjoyed to do, like from photography led to design of just random things, and then logo, and then graphics, and then also in publications, and then events. It's just, I feel like it's a process. I feel like all these things that I've done in the past to what I'm doing now are little things that I really like to do for myself. Like I love photography. I love just drawing random things. I love playing with graphics. And somehow that just came together, and because I put it out there, people came to me. Yeah. And I never thought that I would be like a graphic person. I love graphics. I didn't realize I would grow up to be a graphic. I'm going to go to school and be a graphic designer. Like I could, but I learned everything on YouTube University. So I was like, well, it's good. And this, real university is like,
it is one of my favorite platforms, and I've learned so much from it as well.
Yeah. So I don't think there was one moment really. It's just everything kind of build on itself. And I find that with all my friends who are entrepreneurs, like they started with something that they love and they just ran with it, and it just developed. Like we said in class, like the customer eventually will create the product when you start a business. And I find that it's like very true to many businesses where it's all your passion, but you kind of have to like work with your clientele and Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you use your gift to create the value, but then that value shifts in terms of who's receiving it. All right, so next question. Have you had a moment when you realized you made it? If so, what is it? Yeah, and then I have one more question because I know we're like running short on time. So what is that moment where you realize like, I made it? Or have you had the moment? Are you still waiting for it?
I think the first time that I had that moment was when I was at a theater a few years back. I was doing an event for this one teacher at the Beacon Theater in Manhattan on Broadway. And I did all the billboards and stuff like that outside and the lights and everything, but it didn't really catch me. What really like made me laugh and made me like, wow, I'm doing something really cool was I went out backstage and it was the theater that I was doing the event in was next to the theater that was doing The Little Mermaid on Broadway. So I went out backstage and Sebastian was smoking out back. Sebastian, and I looked over and there's this like Broadway character all suited up, makeup and like claws and everything, and just standing there with a cigarette on like the back of the stage. And it was so funny to me. And I'm like, this is so surreal.
Yeah.
Like you're in the back of this theater doing a different event, but then you're kind of merged with like a cast of Broadway theater Little Mermaid characters. They're just chilling and hanging out and just like taking a smoke break. It's just, that was when I realized like, this is really cool.
That's so funny. How about you, Juan?
So I've had many moments when I said, okay, I made it, but it all depends on your definition, and it all depends on what stage of your life you're on. To me, making it was getting here again, but now making it means getting funded for my new venture. And I think there's something good about having goals and new goals and setting something and trying to achieve it, and then something else and kind of moving, because those small achievements keep you going.
Yeah, so true.
So instead of just I made it, I made it $10 million. No, you need some steps, some small gains.
Yeah.
And you make it all, you made it, I don't know, you make it all the way. I don't know how to say it in English properly.
What did you wish you knew before starting your business? And what advice do you have for new entrepreneurs?
Again, you should set your own terms for every relationship. That was my biggest issue, not communicating enough.
Yeah.
And I wish I had the confidence back then to communicate how the work should be done, in my opinion, because that's what I was getting paid for.
Yeah.
I wasn't just getting paid for making a pretty website.
Yeah.
I was getting paid for a complete relationship, a service. It's a whole experience.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known that.
It's true. Yeah, it wasn't so transactional. It wasn't like I do this and you give me this. It was more of like this is an entire experience and relationship.
It's a relationship. Totally
powerful. Jason?
I feel like I'm not really sure because I feel like it's still a process for me. Like every day I'm learning something new. Like this pandemic is giving me something new to learn, you know, and I feel like there's always something that I'm learning that that surprises me and makes me happy. And I feel like it always comes at the right time when I need it. And the stuff that I try to learn it beforehand, sometimes I don't apply a lot of things I learned beforehand because it's not applicable to the moment, even though I might know it and it's useful for when the time arises. But I feel like because as entrepreneurs or as someone that's just working in society, you're constantly being given something that's out of the book and that's out of the norm. And there's really no one way to solve a certain problem or to deal with a certain issue. It's just you have to figure it out at that moment and see what's best for you to resolve it, you know. And I feel like I'm constantly learning, and I'm constantly baffling myself, like, oh, that's so cool. Like maybe I knew it, but maybe I didn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm bonus question. How has the class informed your business? How has taking this class influenced your business, or the way you think, the way you run your business? I think.
To me, doing the canvas
Mm-hmm.
changed everything.
Ah.
And from now on, I don't see myself thinking about a business just in a Google Docs like I used to do.
Yeah.
It gives you everything. It gives you the right framework, and Canvanizer has every kind of canvas that you might need. That changed everything. And also reinforcing the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gave me the confidence that it wasn't something that I came up with then. It's something that exists, that it's proven that it works, and that we all should even share it. And it's great that we're being educated on this.
How about you, Jason? I can't hear you.
I feel like the class is really, really fascinating because I find that I understand another generation of people that's outside of my peer group, a younger generation that's very vibrant, that has a different way of seeing the world. Like I'm much older than a lot of the students in the class, where like I grew up when pagers were just coming into society. Okay, so like long time ago. I don't even know if you guys know what pagers are. But like the world was not all cell phones, and not all digitalized. So coming into the class and being at Iona with students who really grew up with electronics and like modern day technology is like really fascinating to see how information is processed, how things are used in certain respects. And it's really eye-opening for me as a person, like, and sitting there listening to the ideas of the students in class is like, yeah, it's very different than how people or millennials, the older millennials, you can say, think about what to do and what to create and how to run a business. It's like the younger generation has a completely different perspective, I feel like, and it's really refreshing. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you guys both so much for, I'll give you a round of applause. I know everyone is muted, but thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm inspired by the both of your stories, and I know that the other students, the students are also inspired. Just wishing you the best of luck on your journeys, and you're already off to a great start, and just keep it going, and keep us posted on your success and your, evolution.
Thank you so much. I will.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes. If you're 21 and older, I'll invite you to an event, but if you're not, then maybe when you're 21 or older.
Awesome. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be sending the recording after this.
You too. Take care.
Bye.